Hey, I'm Robert. I lead the DIY business for Intel. Welcome to The Blueprint. We're going to talk about how to overclock one of these guys, an Intel Core Ultra 200S CPU. But to do that, let's talk about how it's laid out, because that will help you understand what you're overclocking when you decide to do that. So we're going to start at the bottom of the chip, and this is your GPU tile. All Intel Core Ultra 200S CPUs are made of multiple tiles stitched together on a base tile. They actually sit on top, and then they can talk to one another with these direct links. So the first tile is the GPU. The next one is the SoC tile, and that contains things like PCI Express or the NPU for AI. Your memory controller is in the SoC tile. And then you have the CPU tile, which contains 8P cores up to 16E cores, so 24 cores total at maximum in the Core Ultra 200S CPUs. And then finally, you have your IOE tile or IO extender, which contains things like USB and Thunderbolt. And then lastly, these two blue tiles with the hash marks, these are called filler tiles. They just prevent cavities or blank areas from being under the heat spreader. So when you put that heat spreader on top to put your cooler on top of that, you want to make sure there's no voids inside. And so we add these structural fillers to make sure that everything is smooth and level all the way across the chip from corner to corner in both directions. So that's the layout of the CPU. Now the thing you need to know, the thing you really need to know, is that your main memory is off on your motherboard over here, and you want to make this link from CPUs to RAM as quick as possible. How do you do that? Well, there's a couple ways that you can. First, you can do CPU core overclocking, right? There's a number of cores that exist inside the CPU tile. You can overclock those. Both P cores and E cores are overclockable. But the next thing you need to know is that all the cores are actually connected with a ring. And that ring allows each core to talk to the next core, and we call that the ring frequency. So you can overclock that ring frequency to make the CPU cores talk to one another more quickly. The next thing that you can do to speed up the link to RAM is to make the die-to-die faster. The CPU tile is its own die, the SoC tile is its own die, and they have to talk to one another. So that die-to-die link is overclockable as well. So you can make the CPU cores faster, the ring faster, and this die-to-die link faster. So that gets the information out of the CPU tile and into the SoC tile a little faster, but there's another step. The next thing you can overclock is called the SoC fabric frequency, or the fabric frequency. And just like the CPU, there is a bus or a ring in the SoC tile that links everything together. Your PCI Express, your memory controller, et cetera, and most importantly, the memory controller sits on that ring. So if you make the link to the CPU, to the die-to-die, to the SoC faster, and then you overclock your memory, now you have the links out to RAM as fast as possible. And when you activate an Intel XMP memory profile, for example, it's these two components that you're overclocking. It's the memory controller and the memory itself on your motherboard. So if you overclock the ring frequency, the die-to-die, the SoC fabric, and the memory subsystem, you have the fastest possible link out to RAM, which means the lowest possible latency. And that's the real benefit for PC gaming. It's not really overclocking the CPU cores anymore. It's overclocking everything else that gives you the real benefit on an Intel CPU. And indeed, most modern gaming CPUs work just like this, with more or less complexity. So that is the Intel Core Ultra 200S processor. That is how it's laid out, and that's how you overclock one.
Hey, I'm Robert, host of Intel Blueprint, where we make the hard stuff easy by drawing about it. You'll learn how CPUs fit together, how these components talk to one another. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next episode.